The Weekly starts now.
I'm here with Abby Bender, owner, president, and CEO of Abby Windows Exterior, and she's joining me today to talk a little bit about subcontractors. Abby, thank you so much for joining us.
Happy to be here.
So specifically about subcontractors, what we're going to talk about, I guess we could call it subcontractor loyalty. And it's an issue that you brought up to me when I was asking you about products, oddly enough. And you mentioned to me that holding on to subcontractors has become a bit of an issue. So can you first just describe a little bit of, one, what kind of subcontractors you work with, and two, what are the issues that are arising with them right now?
Well, the first is obviously we've had a labor shortage for a while in our industry. It's the elephant in the room that we all are aware of, and all the efforts that NARI and Home Depot and different companies or different big organizations are trying to do to better it. It's part of that entitlement generation, and not going into the trades is a huge issue. But on top of that, the quality of labor is really hard to come by. And when you think you found a crew that is of high quality, it becomes honestly like an auction. Who can add in, and bid another $5 a window, and the guy's gone. And with the siding crews, really good quality labor has been a huge struggle to find. And so it just puts your lead times out that much further, because you don't want to take the chance of hiring a crew that does shoddy work.
When you say you find a crew that's talented and you kind of want to keep them to yourself, has that kept you from collaborative discussions with other remodelers in the area?
I think it has. I think you don't want your guys to get poached. So one thing that we've made an effort to do, and and I've heard this from other companies, is that you don't want your guys in go to the supply centers. So we warehouse everything here now, because the chance you take the minute your guy goes to the supply center is they're going to get poached. Or even having them on the jobs, if they see them working, even if you have completely lettered and labeled trucks and trailers, I think it almost is like a catch-22, because they know that we do quality work and we have high standards. So they know that those guys that we have working for us are going to be good. But then at the same time, it's like, if you don't have them labeled, are they going to go after them thinking that, they're free to the highest bidder too? So you don't really know what the right answer is with that.
So in this case, are you saying that not only are your sub crews getting sort of pulled away from you, but also people that you have on staff? Are they going after your actual on payroll people?
More just the installers. So one thing that we've learned from this year with again, this has been our honestly company theme for the year has been the word pivot, because we've been pivoting so much and we've had so much growth. We've had over 40% growth on the year, that as all the money that would have been spent on hospitality and travel and everything has really been filtered into our home improvement industry. But I think it almost it was busting us at the seams, so to speak, because we weren't all prepared for that type of growth as much as we love it. So it's been a lot of pivoting. So one thing that we've realized is that because everybody's had so much growth, they have to have the labor to be able to install all these things. And that's why it's let's just get this job done. Whatever the guy wants to get paid, just pay him so we can keep moving and get these jobs rolling, because you don't want that backlog. The inventory shortage is long enough. You don't need it sitting in your warehouse and creating more of a backlog, and then you have more, upset customers. So with the Amazon world of, put it in a package and it's there in 2 days, has created a quite a difficult thing for us to do as remodelers, to try to emulate that and try to clone that. So we don't have that ability. But we have actually, thought and really are going through the route of, okay, how much is workman's comp going to cost? How much is this going to cost? And doing the math on, is it worth bringing in-house crews for everything instead of using subs, because you have more control over, are they going to show up today? And, are they going to stay here?
Well, before you move on to actually bringing that labor in-house, have you come up with any sort of, or at least have you tried out any strategies to entice your subcontracting crews to stay with you, rather than just like, you know, or beyond just having them kind of avoid the competition?
I am like a mom and a child. I have tried everything I possibly can. I have got the guys something that has as a struggle for installers is they want a one-stop shop. So we have our dumpsters available. They can dump. We have all their windows and everything staged and ready to go for the day with their coil, their caulk, the trim, everything they need, their paperwork. We have pods we built for every installer has their own pod. So they can literally grab and go compared to if you were to have to go to a supply center, you're waiting in line for these other guys to dump, you're waiting in line for the other guys to get their stuff. And then the warehouse manager's pulling it the day of, where we do it all before. And they all have a code to the warehouse so they can get in at 5 a.m., 6 a.m. the night before, whenever they want, so they can get on the job earlier. We have incentivized them with they can earn extra points per install. So if they get a review, if they just showing up at a certain time, if they also get points based off of the level of difficulty on their work. So pocket fits are obviously everybody's easy jobs. They don't get as many points for that compared to they get more incentive points if they do a full frame job or a patio door or something that's more difficult casing work. And at the end of the month, we add up the points, and whoever has the most points gets a prize, like a new miter saw, Dremel tool, you know, any different types of prizes. And I said, if you get a hat trick, which means if you win 3 in a row, we'll give you another $500 bonus for that, for being the top installer. I've tried incentivizing them based on if you install every single day for us, you get an extra bonus for that. You name it, I've pretty much tried it. And it's all about, it's the money, money, money.
Yeah. And so after you've done your calculations, have you found that it's going to be more lucrative for you to bring your own staff or to bring on labor in-house and keep it there? And are you planning to hire skilled laborers or hire laborers and then train them?
It's one of those things we're actually still working through, because a lot of the skilled workers already are set up as 1099s through most companies. So they already have all the tools, they already have all the trucks, the trailers, the insurance, and everything they need. And so when you get into workman's comp, you're talking, my insurance guy hasn't gotten back to me, but from what I've heard, it's, it could be 30% of a pay cut for that installer. So I get to a point where they just don't want to deal with the paperwork anymore, and they're okay with that. And they just want to show up and do their job. But it's been a struggle to try to find guys that have industry experience that would want to go that route. So then we talk about, okay, do we bring in guys and train them, which is what I did with my sales team. And that's been very effective, bringing in people outside the industry and training them in windows and doors, where it's kind of like teaching somebody how to shoot a gun. If they have no experience, they're going to have their bad habits aren't going to be there, essentially. So we're still working through all that and trying to determine what route is the best route to take.
I've heard some other remodelers bringing people in-house, and they seem to have had success with it, but I'm guessing it's very regional in terms of what's available.
I mean, in Chicago, there's a huge Polish market with a lot of skilled ability, and a huge Latin market that has a lot of skilled ability. Here, we actually have started hitting up the Latin communities, trying to get, and we actually have a guy on staff that speaks fluent Spanish. So we've kind of utilized that tool with him to try to get more of that skilled labor that you can't really find on Facebook Marketplace, so to speak. So we've done that. We've had some success with it, but if you're going to run an ad in Craigslist, I would say, you have to pretty much run it in Spanish, because English isn't their first speaking language. So it's going to be a lot harder for them to understand compared to if you can run that ad in Spanish.
Do you run even like the headline in Spanish? I imagine when you say.
Yes, we've done all of it. So the one guy that we have on staff, he basically wrote the whole ad in Spanish so that we, could try to hit that market, because there's a lot of talent pool there that just doesn't know, where to go if it's all in English. It's kind of, it'd be, reading a foreign language essentially is what it is.
Yeah. And so kind of to get to the sort of end point of this, I've heard other remodelers from around the country talk about this subcontractors sort of, taking the next highest payday, having a hard time holding on to labor. You've spoken with other remodelers? Have they expressed the same sort of difficulty with you, not in just the Milwaukee area where you work, but around the country? Because I know you interact with a lot of remodelers from a lot of places.
Yeah, so I was talking to our progressive foam rep, and he's based out of Iowa, and he was just telling me that he was talking to a guy that another guy down the road offered his installer another $5 more a square, and he left. And then he tried coming back because the grass isn't always greener. And the guy finally told him, "Listen, you've left me 3 times and come back. Don't come back again." And it's disheartening because you try to be loyal to your people, and as a business owner, I try to do as best as I can to keep everybody as busy, and you feed your family first, and that's kind of how my mentality is. I eat last, and so it's really hard when it's just that's all I'm worth. Is $5 more a window, and I had a really good installer, probably one of the best I've ever seen, and gave him a huge raise, a 25% raise, and that still wasn't good enough. He wanted another $50 more a window. And it's like, seriously. And so it's amazing to me how quickly people will jump ship for just $5.
I talked to a remodeler in Vegas who told me that 2 of his drywallers were just snatched right off the job site. Like someone came by, offered him a higher rate. But one interesting thing he mentioned to me was that like remodelers are in a vulnerable spot right now because the labor shortage obviously is tough. Pandemic makes it even tougher. But at some point, he at least sort of had a premonition or projected that the market will come back around. Well, remodelers will be in a stronger spot where there's more labor availability. And at that point, he said sort of the, roosters are going to come to nest. I don't know what the actual saying is now.
Exactly. I just said that to my install manager actually last week. I said, everything comes full circle. And, we will ride this wave as long as we can. And obviously the Harvard reviews and all the stuff that Kermit Baker does, that we weren't expecting this type of growth. It just kind of came out of left field. So it's going to, sometimes the bust comes out of left field too. And not that I want that to happen, but if it does, we will have the upper hand again. And, I was just reading in one of the articles about the window installing robots, which I still would like to know more about that, to see what that really means. And if that's just, doesn't need as much skill to be able to have somebody man that robot, or how that all works. But eventually it'll come back around, and we will be back in the driver's seat. And then, like the guy said, when it comes to the highest bidder, then we'll be the highest bidder. So.
Exactly. Well, that's a great place for us to end it. Abby, thank you so much for joining me, just taking the time to share your insights. I really appreciate it.